I'm gonna start recording just so that we've got it, but obviously this won't be actually part of the show, because what could be more boring than listening to me take out my thing and you chat about your fucking headphones. You know what these are? You know what's funny? You're obviously not a very observant person, despite being one of my oldest friends. And I mean, in terms of
I got it.
You are.
We all got it.
You all got it. I was wearing these the whole time I was with you when we went for our socially distant walk allowed by the government, and you didn't notice. You didn't notice.
I've had those things before, but I never used to properly wear them. When I had them when I was like, I don't know, 12 or something. And so I had them when I was 12, and I used to wear them like 3 days before I had to go to the orthodontist because I hate them. But the other thing is, surely you're not supposed to see them. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I was looking in your mouth.
Yeah, you aren't supposed to see them.
Put it this way, I didn't feel them. My penis did not feel them. So, do you know what I mean? There's that. Don't worry about it.
No.
That's different.
But, they're called like invisible, but they're obviously not invisible, are they? Like, they're still...
No, of course they're not. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to... Yeah.
You can see it, but you did not notice. You did not.
I did not notice, which means I lose a point and maybe have to die.
So, that's up to you. If you want to die, you can. You needn't.
I mean, okay. I'm going to at some point. Let's not pretend that's not going to happen.
No, that's true. Oh, wait, I've got them in now because of that. All right, check out. Lovely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What a dream. Wow. Okay. Are you over your tech issues, or are you still Googling them in the background?
Still Googling them.
Yeah, I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. You've got to stop, or we can't do this. It's not going to work unless you're paying attention.
No, it's fine. I just keep wondering at halfway through it's going to go bing, and I'm going to go, yes, we're working. And then you'll go, well, we recorded the first half of the laptop mic, so now it's all rubbish. Like, it's got to be one or the other. You can't just randomly do it. I feel like I'm like a manager that's desperately trying to say, look, just do one more fitness test before the game because Kane needs to play. And he's like, I've got a broken ankle. He's like, let's just quickly try it. One more go.
Yeah.
No, we can definitely fix this.
You know, when they do that, like footballers, they have to like pass a fitness test when they arrive at a club. I'm always like, they're a fucking professional footballer. How are they going to fail it?
I know.
So ridiculous.
Well, the idea is, it's. I think it's to do with the new thing. Might want to go like Harry Kane doing a fitness test. They might go, look, you've had so many injuries with this knee, or the ankle. Excuse me, that he's had so many fucking things. They might go, according to our tests, we think that is too weak. Like, it's just a flag that we then have to make a decision on whether we want to go for it or not. Do you know what I mean? Like this little the fitness test to go through. But I know what you mean.
Should we see if anyone's failed one? Like high profile.
People have definitely failed fitness tests, 100%.
Can you remember any off the top of your head? You're quite good about these things. You usually.
Think that. I'm trying to remember. I now cannot remember who has failed a fitness test, but I know there have been some. And sometimes though, they don't tell. They keep it secret. They don't want to ruin the footballer's career. Because then no one else will buy him if they think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I feel like it's always like subject to it's either subject to a visa or subject to a fitness test. Everything else is in place.
Yeah, work permit. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, I found one. No, I found two. But one of them is about hold on, I'll show this. Can you see it? Yeah. One of them is about a pair of referees failing a fitness.
Wow.
And he's one of them. He looks like he's in all right shape.
The thing is, though, he may have just had a heavy night the night before and just had loads to drink, and he just can't run.
Yeah, but that's, that's like, if this is for Champions League, what are you doing going out boozing the night before? But anyway, this one I think is more entertaining. Look at this one. Do you remember?
Sunderland terminate £8 million defenders contracts. They signed them, and then.
Yeah, look at this. He returned to the club late and unfit. Him. He comprehensively failed a fitness test upon his return.
Yeah.
What do you think that means?
Well, comprehensively failing a fitness test.
That's like shocking.
Well, they must have said run, and he went, I can't. It was literally just there. Or he
Yeah,
turned up, I don't know, in a wheelchair and said, look, I can't. I don't know
right.
how I've done it. Something's happened to me.
Ooh, and then he could sue him. Surely not. I mean,
The thing is, though, that I don't know if you remember. I'm trying to desperately remember this guy's name. It was, and it will come to me halfway through. I don't know why. I'm thinking, when just
yeah.
Adrian Mutu. There we go. I knew it was an M. Adrian Mutu, who signed for Chelsea, and it was the
Oh,
first
striker,
year.
right? I remember him.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Mourinho or because you remember Ranieri was there for a little bit when they had loads of money, right?
Absolutely.
Chelsea, and I think essentially Mutu was signed. It might have even been on it's 15 million. And then Mutu got sacked because he failed a drugs test. He'd been doing cocaine. So what happened was they terminated him.
Yeah.
And then I remember a ruling when he was like 31. And I don't know what happened. I felt really sorry for him was because Chelsea then sued because he was the reason they said that they had to terminate his contract because he'd taken loads of drugs and stuff. So then he had to owe them the £15 million transfer fee.
Ooh.
And I was like, even if he plays for like 2 years, how's he ever going to pay that? Like, he can't even go, do you mind if I pay in installments? Like a £5 a week.
Have you got a
Can you
payment
imagine
plan?
that?
Well,
a £15 million fine.
that's especially rich, pardon the pun, coming from Chelsea, owned by a fucking oligarch billionaire. It's like, we need our 15 million.
I know. It just shows how much of a, Can we swear or not?
Yeah, you can say what the fuck you want about that.
Okay, it shows how much of a cretin he was.
Yeah.
That's quite tame.
I mean, here we go. I found the article. Mutu.
Yeah.
The club had grown suspicious after a dip in his form on the pitch and increasingly unreliable behaviour off of it. Sounds fun. What do you think unreliable behaviour is?
I know.
Came back negative, but then they found cocaine, banned for 7 months and sacked. And then in an unprecedented legal action, Chelsea have pursued Mutu for millions of pounds in compensation for more than a decade.
After he went to the European Court of Human Rights, he basically confirmed the Romanian owed his former club £15.2 million. Right? So basically, he's like, imagine the idea of, look, basically, you're a Premier League footballer, right? I just feel a little bit bad. It's only him.
Yeah.
Premier League footballer, taking drugs. Obviously, a lot of footballers don't take drugs, but the ones that do or have, done this and all that kind of stuff, they're going to go, well, look, the worst that's going to happen is that someone might find out, I might get found, got to do a drugs test. And they went, not only have we got to do a drugs test, but we're going to stop your salary and you owe us 15 million. I mean, that is so unlucky. I don't know. Most people that are in a job that take drugs don't owe their employers 15 million.
Yeah, that.
Do you know what I mean? Most of them
the
might
majority
be done by the police, or they might get sacked. You can't I don't know.
You know
Imagine
what it makes
him going in to get his universal credit, and they said, "Do you have any outstanding debts?" as well.
I mean, there is this one.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, though. It's not big.
Don't worry about that. That's absolutely fine.
You know what it makes me think of is like the one poor fucker who got sent to jail for like illegally streaming an episode of Friends or like downloading a Marvel movie, and then he gets slapped with a massive fine and sent to jail to make an example.
Not that me and you have ever.
No, absolutely not. Of course.
Or anyone else. I think
all legit, all above board.
It is definitely interesting to think that all these people were, or complained, all these companies, like when people were, downloading and having a look at stuff like, the latest episode of Dexter or Breaking Bad or stuff that was on in America, Mad Men and the World, all this kind of stuff. And loads of people complain about it. And then someone basically said, do you know what? Let's just put it all on a streaming system that's online. So you pay a little bit a month. And everyone was happy to do that. They go, well, Rob, that's what was great about it. And no one does it anymore. It was a big thing that 10 years ago, everyone did that. And now it was all sorted because some clever people, this is what HMV should have done when they realized everyone was going online and doing stuff like that. They created Netflix or Amazon, said, right, we'll just have an online streaming service,
It's the
and
same
you
as
pay a little bit
Spotify,
per month. Do you
right?
know what I mean? And then you can just watch as much as you like.
Yeah.
You know,
Like half the people on
Netflix.
Napster would have just been
Yeah.
happy. Yeah.
Netflix was invented in like 1998.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Weren't they a DVD in the mail company? Yeah.
Yeah, I used to. Yeah,
That
so
model.
Netflix was this guy that he didn't like that he had to take one thing. He got like a £250 fine for a late returning of something of a DVD. So then I remember being on like Love Film.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you get like one, it's like £8. You get one DVD, and then you've got to wait until you send it back.
Yeah.
But there were no late fees and stuff. But
I think I've still got a couple hanging around that I forgot to send back, and they sort of never, it's in that weird case that's just the disc, and then like with a printed label on it.
What's funny is that I think they do know, and one day you're going to get a letter. They go, "Your debt has been sold." You and Adrian Mutu, £15 million fine.
Oh, poor Adrian Mutu. Look at his quote.
Oh, poor Adrian.
Do you want to read his quote?
I'm pissed off. Probably something like that.
No. So after all of this, being fined and found guilty and confirmed he's got to pay back 15.2 million. Here's his pull quote.
What's he saying?
Where are you? I'm sharing the screen. You should be able to see it now.
Sorry, I was Googling. I was doing my own research.
How dare you? I'm running this show. Don't you Google.
It's something I don't want to speak about. Yeah, I imagine that's true. I still can't believe Chelsea are making him pay. I get it, but Chelsea got shitloads of money.
Isn't this one of those things though, where like he's actually never gonna actually pay it? Like,
no, yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah.
What are they gonna do? Like, he'll appeal as much as he can all the way, and then when
are you saying he rings up and goes, "Look, I can afford 200 quid. Should we call it even?"
I think that shit might have sold. It does seem particularly vindictive. Maybe Mutu porked Abramovich's wife. Sorry for using the verb porked.
I can't believe you said porked. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly was like, oh, I was thinking of saying something like that, but I thought, okay, is that going to come across as sexy? It was like, maybe you did this. I thought you're going to say something like slept with, or even, shagged. I'd go, that's okay. But then the idea porked, I was like, oh.
Well, Mewtwo's redemption, how Chelsea playboy Adrian Mutu went from cocaine ban and sucking blood of porn star to coaching Romania under 21s.
I mean, that was probably when they said off the field stuff. I think it was the sucking the blood of the porn star that they said, we've just seen your video.
I don't see a problem.
You look coked up, you're sucking the blood of a porn star, and I'll be honest, we don't think your mind's on the game. Do you know what I mean? One of the reasons they get it is because he scored 6 goals in 27 games. That's one of the reasons they were annoyed about it.
I mean, sure, that's not great.
I'm sure Drogba was coked up to his tits, but, he was a great player. So they didn't bother, getting that back.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. This isn't usually a sports podcast, but for this hour, it is. For this
hour. No, there was something else you said, which was when we were talking about Love Film. Yeah. And I was thinking that when we were younger, literally, before you got into sex, drugs, rock and roll, and, breaking limbs and stuff.
No idea what you're talking about. Carry on.
We were like, every Saturday, let's get a video from Video Fair. That was it. $2.75. Never more than $2.75. It used to be $2.50. Went $2.75. There was an outcry. VHS. I think at one time we got, when I was about 15, 16, we got Bridget Jones's Diary. That was a Saturday night.
Let's set the scene. Let's explain for people who have no idea. I'll give you an intro up top, but how long have we known each other, Luke?
Longer than I like to remember. I oddly enough, I don't really know because we weren't in the same class at school. Neither was my brother and your brother. I mean, you've got 2 brothers. I've got 3 brothers. Only me and
competition.
You and your brother and my brother were in the same years. The other ones are older or younger. But I think it must have been that it was a thing where you're kind of mums and dads knew each other in a whole big kind of circle and stuff like that, and then suddenly you start getting invited to things. So
Yeah, like you can't
I
remember the
know that
first
about
time we
age,
met or anything.
about when I was about 10, you introduced me to Terry. So that's how I got to know Terry via you. But I don't.
So,
But I keep forgetting. Did you introduce me to him, or did he introduce me to you? But I think you introduced me to him. I didn't know because he was again someone that was he in your class? I don't know.
no, he wasn't.
We were never in the same class,
But
which
we were
is
all in the same school and
yeah,
at the
that was
same
odd.
year.
It's so odd to think that we were never in the same class, but we were all in the
No.
same school.
But yeah, and
Yeah,
like you said, parents knew each other, brothers were friends. So there were plenty of opportunities for us to sort of hang out and become mates just by default. And
just by
then,
yeah,
and then I
and
think
by
that,
deed poll,
and by deed
mates
poll.
by deed poll.
Can you do anything else by deed poll?
That's an interesting thing. You can change your name by deed poll.
And you can't change your
I've
name any
never
other
heard
way
deed
as
poll
well.
used. I've never heard deed poll used unless it's changing your name.
It's a weird thing, isn't it? Why is that? It should just, I mean, a deed is just like a contract, isn't it? Like that's
Isn't it?
just
Yeah, I only know that from Mr. Deeds, the Adams, the
anyway, let's not get
Adam
distracted by
Sandler film.
deed poll.
Anyway,
So yeah, so we grew up together. We have the same birthday
in Palmer's Green.
in Palmer's Green, North London, and at a certain age, we started hanging out like more and becoming like proper mates instead of just sort of like
I think that was in secondary school. You and Terry went to the same secondary. I would say, put it okay. When I was about year 7, 8, 9, 10, when you're like 11, 12, 13,
yeah.
I would have in my head a list of 4 people that I would ring on a Saturday or Sunday. You were number 2, Terry was number 3, my Mark Dwyer was number 4,
And
and number 1 was Ardell. That was
right.
literally it. So I'd ring up, but no, okay. Oh, I wonder if Rob's around and stuff
Check
like
through
that.
the Rolodex.
Check through. You're basically just like who's going to be around, and then so we just would hang out during the day, and then you get to like 14, 15, 16, we start to hang out during the evening, where you just rent a video and just literally eat sweets and drink Coca-Cola. You love it. I'll be great. Just eat chocolate. And then when we got a little bit older, we started drinking. And I do remember one point where I'd be like coming over and we would just try and find any bit of alcohol we could. And I remember at one point he said, "No, I've got this. I think it's got alcohol in it." And it was like some kind of milkshake that did like nothing. And because I was so anxious about a lot of things, I'd always go,
yeah,
I think I might be drunk. Am I drunk yet? Is this what it's supposed to feel like? Remember the first time me and you had weed, or I mean, you'd been having it since you were about 4.
That is an over-exaggeration.
I literally was smoking and I kept going, what would it feel like? I don't think it's working. Like just constantly questioning what it would feel like. Does it work? Is it working? Is it not? Is it that? I don't know, like that. And what would it feel like? Like when I was younger, the idea that at school, I don't know if they did a really good job or a really bad job, but when I was in like year 7, 8, or 9, I would believe that any drug would kill you.
Right.
Don't do drugs. They kill you.
There was a huge fear campaign, definitely. Yeah.
Massively
I feel like we watched videos where it was like, this boy took LSD and look at him now. Do you know what I mean? And it was kind of like before we even knew what any of these things were.
I know. It's funny the idea that they would say, like somebody walking along at school and goes, "Hi, do you want a bit of weed?" "No, thanks, sir. I don't want to die." You know what I mean? Then it cuts and his parents are looking at the clock. Where is Jared? When is he going to come home? And the police knock at his door. He had a toke of weed and then he's just out there. Yeah. And there's the shame of everyone else going, you must be shit parents.
Yeah, exactly. Where is Gerald? Like. Cut to Gerald stabbing as many people as he can in a minute and laughing hysterically.
I know, just laughing about it.
Weed makes you mad.
I know.
But yeah, so at a certain point, when we were sort of, I think it reached its probably peak when we were like 15 kind of age, and we would get very stoned, we would eat shitty food, and we would watch movies.
Well, I will tell you this, which you're not going to believe. I didn't start smoking weed until I was 18. So no way at age 15.
What?
Oh my God. We had a whole thing once where when I was about maybe 17, I mean, you've got to remember that I've not smoked weed in years.
No.
Out there now. I genuinely haven't. And I got too into it and I stopped doing it. And I can't really imagine doing it again.
No, ever. Because it's kind of started to ruin your life, didn't it?
That's man.
The thing. Yeah.
It didn't. I'm not. All it did was that it was just something I had to do every day, and never during the 95% of the time I was sober, as in not. It's only the last half an hour I'd have to think I'll just have a sniff even before bed. I'll do this, but no. It just. I think it's amazing to think that 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I was so pro. Whoever wants to do it can do it.
Yeah.
But only now I would say, like,
it's definitely
do
not
it.
right
But
for
do
some
realise
people.
it might have an effect on your mental health. It can really get in if you do it too much.
Yeah.
And some people are going to be it's kind of predisposed that it's going to have an effect on you, and some people don't. Just like with anything, just like with alcohol, people are more likely to become alcoholics or anything like that. But I haven't in ages, but I do remember, I wouldn't even. When we were about 18, we also
must have been before that.
Maybe 17 for a bit, not
because
properly.
Think about 18. I was only in the UK for like half a year before I went on my gap year, right?
Well, 17 then, maybe for a bit. I remember I used to come round, seriously, when we both worked at the same place, because we had both had a gap year, but I didn't do anything with it. But I worked for 6 months, we worked in the same office.
Yeah.
And on a Monday night, we'd go to yours and use the vaporizer.
Yeah, do you remember the vaporizer?
And I would be like, and then at one point you said, Luke, you got to start paying for this. So I'd give you like a £10, but I don't want to take mine home with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Paranoid. You were already paranoid before we even got to the weed part.
I was born paranoid, for fuck's sake.
Yes, exactly.
Seriously. It wasn't anything like...
You wake up paranoid, you go to bed paranoid. And
wake up paranoid. You know what?
It was,
and it sounds awful.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not a personality that's going to benefit from overexposure to weed, but we had good times anyway. But I had this ancient vaporizer that you had to like plug into the wall. You had to pour water in it. It was a bit weird. It was very sort of old and archaic. It had a lamp. It had glass, and it seemed to work.
Yeah.
But what movies can you remember us watching? The one that always comes to mind for me,
I think I'm going to know what you're going to say.
Crooks, yeah,
I was about to say
that for some reason is now, for people who don't know, it is this just run-of-the-mill Woody Allen movie, caper, a crime caper. Is that how you describe it?
It's a weird thing because I've gone back to watch it and I actually I quite like it now.
I don't imagine I enjoy it. No.
Excuse me. So the point is, let's just ignore, like, it is a Woody Allen film. Let's forget that element of whatever people want to say.
Put that to one side.
Just put that to one side for now. But it was a Woody Allen film that we got, and only later on, when I'm talking about the art here, just the art, and when I was about 2005, right, 5 years later after it was released, when I was 20, I went to uni and we had a part of our course was watching Woody Allen films and philosophy and all that stuff. So I watched a lot of the films from the 70s and 80s that he did in the 90s and realised that they, just in terms of writing, were very rich and actually were quite good. And I went back to watch Small Time Crooks and realised nowhere near was as terrible as we thought. But you've got to remember, you are not going to get Woody Allen when you're 13 or 14 or 15. You're just not going to get that kind of thing. It's just
certainly not the layers.
You're not going to get whatever happens there. And because the whole point is he's an intellectual, that's what he always does. Yeah. He's the intellectual person that knows that everyone else is being stupid. So anyway, that's a good summation. But I remember us getting that and it being like ridiculous. But actually,
I bought you chocolates.
I bought you chocolates like it's supposed to be from there. Oh no, do you know what? They're not for you. Okay?
They're not for you.
Don't worry.
I bought you chocolates.
It's so funny. So yeah, it's the idea that they're small time crooks and there's all this. And when I rewatched it, because it's got like Hugh Grant in it, it's got all these people in it.
Hugh Grant, Elaine May, Tracy Ullman,
Woody Allen.
No.
And the idea was that actually they were going to rob a bank, so they bought some premises over where, like, the premises, its storeroom backed onto the road where the bank was. But when they then took over the premises and they ran a bakery business as cover, But then the bakery business became really good, so they made loads of money from that. They didn't need to rob anymore, but felt we should do it. So that was like, it was a good idea. It's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, it's a good conceit for sure.
But yeah, I remember we watched that. I remember us getting things like, okay, I'll tell you what we used to watch. We would watch like the Scream films, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Cruel Intentions. I was talking to someone recently, right? A friend of mine who's about 10 years younger than me, and I was talking about how people are talking about Bridgerton and stuff these days. There's a lot of sex in Bridgerton. There's all this kind of stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
But genuinely, I think the most, like, Cruel Intentions came out when we were 15, 14, 99, I think, or 2000. I can't remember.
Sounds about right.
And as part
Ryan
of it,
Felipe, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, there was a lesbian kiss. Do you remember?
I remember?
Oh my God! Right. Genuinely, I think everyone was talking about that film at our school. Did you see the lesbian kiss? Oh my God, it's amazing! Like a lot of us couldn't use our parents' internet to look at stuff. That was the most erotic thing ever. Oh my God, the lesbian kiss.
Yeah.
And I was trying to say that there's another podcast where they're talking about the most erotic movie in film. Was like, for me, that was up there with me going, oh my God, I can't believe that you actually got to see two girls actually kissing in a film. I honestly think, I remember, I was going to say us watching that, but I don't think there's any,
I mean, we were probably sat a bit further apart.
It was a dry run.
And nursing
we were social
our
distancing at the time.
Boners.
We were wearing masks.
Don't look at me. You know what the similar thing for me is, like, that when you're like watching a thing when you're young and being like, oh my God, this is just the most ridiculously hot thing. Do you remember Cameron Diaz in The Mask?
Oh yeah.
Like unbelievable.
I even remember it said, and introducing.
Yeah, right, because it was a big, and everyone was like, where has this person been? That's incredible. Yeah,
I know. That was absolutely, so it was just crazy. The Mask was
did watch, we watched The Mask. We watched, I think probably we default a lot to comedy or horror, but then occasionally we'd watch like an epic or something. I think we watched Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. I also remember, a couple of things, right? I remember that we watched There's Something About Mary, right? Together. We'd heard a lot about it, but I can't remember, it was something like that. And Mallrats, all the Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got into
But they were good because when you're younger and you watch these comedies, and it was like a Saturday night, like 8 o'clock or whatever, we'd get, we'd have got food. I'd have had dinner, you'd have had dinner, you live 5 minutes away. We'd have, Coke. I just used to love Coca-Cola. And sweets and crisps and chocolate. We'd watch this film. We'd have pizza, and it would just be amazing. And I remember just various things that we would watch. And I also remember, what was it? Oh no, I'm pretty sure. Right, we watched The Green Mile for the first time. And this is, I remember these things, right? Just weird things. I'm pretty sure it was 1999 or 2000, right? And we started watching, it was December the 30th, right? And we started at 10 o'clock and didn't finish until like 1. And it was so sad at the end because it's like 3 hours. And we were going to bed and I was sleeping on the floor. And then he went, what date is it today? And I went, it's December the 31st because the clock had changed. But you thought I meant the night before. So you were like, have I missed New Year's Eve? You just went, is there a 32nd of December? Like, that was your genuine question. I'm choking now. But that was ridiculous. That's how confused you got. What? Why is there no? What were we?
Oh my God!
I do remember when we were
when
we were too young to go to kind of any parties. I remember one New Year's Eve, we were about 15 or 16. There was me, you, and your girlfriend at the time.
Oh yeah.
And we spent New Year's Eve
in the park on the swings.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Not like getting drunk or anything crazy. It was just like, guys. Now I look back and go, I was quite like, that makes me feel a bit sad.
Why?
Because it wasn't like we were like, But we were not like, this is best, this is so good. We're kind of like, should we just go on the fucking swings? Like, we had nothing better to do.
Yeah,
And
but like,
swings, like,
no one that age has anything better to do ever. Honestly, think about it. What were your
Yeah.
options? It was like,
well, that was before you were smoking weed, obviously, because otherwise we would have had a great time.
I remember having a good time, but like any kind of memory like that is always tinged with like, that's fucking depressing, because it's like, but like everything at that age is shit. Even the good stuff is shit, because you're constantly in like your head and too many mixed emotions all the time, and your hormones are going weird, and you always feel like there's something going on elsewhere that you weren't a part of, or that you couldn't
and you're just, I think at that age you're just so much, people still can be self-conscious, but
yeah,
you're so self-conscious, and the idea of now going back, the amount of times I think I'd love to go back to being at, secondary school. And now, people got fixed personalities when you're our age, 35, and you could go back in and go, I want to go back in all those situations and say to that person, actually, fuck you. I don't give a shit what you think of me. Or actually do ask that person out that you were, excuse me, when I was younger, right? I kind of need to find what year I'm in by like year 7, no crush. Very odd. Years 8 and 9, crush on someone. Years 9 and 10, years 8 and 9, I had a crush on someone at school called Hayley, right? Then when I was in year 10 and 11, I had a massive crush on someone called Jodie. Then in year 12 and 13, I had a crush on Jodie's sister, who was in the same year as us, oddly enough, called Sam. Ooh. And it was weird that just my whole thing was just unrequited love, like the whole thing. That's just what it was.
Well, and it's the pining as well, isn't it? Because it's not like you ever make like any kind of decisive action towards making that a reality. It's more just like just dreaming.
No, but it's also that amazing thing where I would, I think also when you're younger, right, there's a kind of pragmatism to your crushes. So you're not going to have a crush on someone you're never going to be in the same class as. So I had a crush on someone and realised that there was only, I think, Tuesday where I didn't have a class with them, Yeah. Every other day I was in one of their classes, like the English or the maths or this set or whatever it was. So, but it's amazing, like Simon Amstel once said that if he fancies someone, like he fancies a guy and he meets them at a party, rather than do anything, or he just thinks, I hope I see that person again. Not like I'll ask them, just I hope I see them again, because next time I'm going to be, I can do it all next time. And that's part of what I used to be like when I was younger. And I only snapped out of it when I was about 28. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's overly optimistic for my money. I think you can at least be like, here's my phone number or some shit. Just like slightly tip the odds in your favor instead of leaving it completely to chance.
But I remember, going to university and being really nervous and not, and joking amongst my friends and all this cool, and just never wanting to ask anyone out. And finally, at one point, someone said, you should ask one. And I'm just sitting next to someone at the laptop, at the school computers.
Yeah.
And turning to someone and asking for them and saying, oh, can I get your number? But not in a way like, hi, not even in chatting, doing anything, just say, oh, can I get your number? And really nervous, like, I'd think if I was that now, and I think I wanted to do it, not expecting it, but just to do it, so I can go, I once asked someone for the number.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's like a rite of passage. You have to actually go through it, and also you're only going to get better at doing it if you give it a go, right?
I mean, I've now been with someone for 7.5 years, so I'm, I've got it right now.
Yeah, you feel like you nailed it. Tips for younger self. What would you say? How would you improve upon your previous terrible techniques?
Just tips in life. If you have to go back to your younger self, just go. I'd say don't worry, but then I'd say that to myself now because I still haven't got over it. I would probably say that you just have to be confident and go. Actually, it's just like with anything, right? I will make jokes a lot, and I'll make jokes about myself and realise that. Right, Ben Miller, comedian Ben Miller, said, being a comedian is controlling an audience's laughter against you. And I realised it's so true. If you go on and make a joke about yourself, you've won them. They laugh and go, oh, and then if someone makes a joke about you or tries to slag you, go, yeah, I've done that. Whereas if you make a joke about yourself, you're stopping other people having the upper hand and having the power.
Yeah.
And I think that I should have been more like that. I should have just thought, who gives a shit what people think? I can go, yeah, whatever. You know, I met some people at school that really didn't care. And there was someone who I remember really, really tall. He must have been like, and this is when we were at school, he must have nearly been 6 foot when we were like 12 or 13. And someone says, go and ask him, go and ask Hakeem, just go and ask, why are you so tall? And every time he got, why so tall? And he went, because my parents fucked too hard. And everyone went, oh, that's not it. But he'd come up and do that every time. And you'd always go up and he would just always answer because he knew that, like, it was just a thing that he'd say because he didn't want anyone else. But once he'd had a go at his parents, if anyone else says anything, he could be like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as soon as you make the own joke, so that's what I'd probably be a bit like. What advice would you give to yourself?
Don't wank in bed. Try and just do it straight into the bin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean,
sorry. I went incredibly puerile and disgusting there.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to say, if you were wanking straight in the bin, I'd say try and wank in bed. I'd do the opposite.
Well, there we go. See?
How about this?
Advice. Go on.
If you're going to have a wank in the bath, always take a sieve.
Oh,
that's what I say.
I tell you what, they never work. It's something we've always all tried, but it's not the right situation.
Wanking in the bath?
Yeah, it's a disaster.
I find you really have to get the level of water right. If it's too high up, you're just gonna, you know what I mean? You've got to get it.
So you can't get the rhythm. Then you have to like lift your hips up a bit in order to.
But there's also, you know, there's a lot of things like sitting in bed reading or sitting in the bathroom. I love having a bath. I can read. I can do this. So many things are better in the bath. Wanking is not one of them.
Doesn't work.
I don't think you can. It's just not. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you know what else doesn't work? You know how like if you have like a glass of wine or a piece of fruit in the bath, it's like, you know, oh, this is an M&S bath kind of thing, like, or like a, you know, it's like.
What are you talking about?
It's like, okay, it's like seen in a different way as opposed to. If
you have a glass of wine in the bath, it does make you feel like if you're there, it makes you feel like, and a candle on.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
So much part of. Do you know what? It doesn't seem like it changes from being a working class thing to a middle class thing.
Right.
That's
right.
What it does.
And it feels sort of like, like this is acceptable and actually, it adds to the experience. But the reason
and you're
I bring
not there to wash. You're actually there to have fun and relax rather than.
It's me time.
Now I've got a job in the morning. Yeah.
But I took that too far and would start having like a proper like cooked dinner in the bath.
That's ridiculous.
I did it a few times. And the one time I was like, okay, I'm never doing this again. I made this big plate of pesto pasta and I was there in the bath. I probably had like a laptop as well, like maybe a drink, and I'm eating this pesto pasta and it falls off into the bath. And, you know, because it's oily, it's like immediately the bath had this green film all over it.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, it's just as bad as wanking, if you ask me. But
next time, just order a pizza there and go, mate, look, come in the door, up the stairs, I'm in the bar. Do you mind?
Yeah.
The weird thing that is that I know there's something wrong about the fact that when you're in the bath, and if you are reading, and very occasionally I'll have something, but not very often, right? That you've got to put the stuff on the toilet. And it just feels weird, even though do you know what I mean?
What stuff? What do you mean?
Well, like your mug or anything else. It's just
right.
The toilet lids, and it feels a little bit weird. Like, you know what happens there. This is a little bit weird to think there's a mug on there that, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh.
I know. It's kind of like, the more you think about those things, the grosser it becomes. And you realize why people are germaphobes. Like if you read, like there's studies where they measured the amount of fecal particulates in cinema seats. And it was like dirtier than some toilets because people are just farting away into these seats and no one's cleaning them up. But maybe
after lockdown, I was so looking forward. I love the cinema. I was like, I can't wait to go now.
Love it. Just bring yourself a little wipe. No, I tell you what though, like post-lockdown, post-COVID, I think.
But why are they doing those studies?
Yeah.
Here's some government money.
Whose idea was it?
What are you doing today? Well, I was going to cure cancer. How about you? We're looking at AIDS. How about you? I want to see how much shit there are in seats.
A lot of the time, it's not government money, though, is it? That's the problem with a lot of the studies. They're like funded by people who want to get a certain result. And if the result isn't their way, they're just like, we won't publish it then.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it's what happened with the sugar industry loads. It's how fat became the enemy. The sugar industry basically blamed fat for the obesity crisis, and that's where you get all these low fat things, and they just chuck sugar in instead.
Yeah, that's the whole point. When they say it's low fat, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to put weight on.
No, you'll actually put on more weight because sugar is less healthy for you than fat, especially like the processed stuff. But that's because of all those studies. Anyway, it's all right. You'll be all right. You said you were losing weight when I saw you last. How's that going?
Well, I was always about between 14 and 15 stone.
Wait, hang on. Let me just put a little note in that. Always, you were the skinniest kid I ever met. And then I remember, let me finish. I remember this was quite a few years ago now, but you literally said to me that you were trying to become fat. You were like, I want to be fat, and you tried, and eventually it worked.
So, I would say that when I was at uni, up until the age of, I was always skinny, right?
Yeah.
And even at uni, I was skinny, and I got to the age of about 24, so I'm 6'2". So really, you need to be between about 12 to 13 and a half, 14 to be ideal.
Are we talking BMI? Is that what you're doing?
And I was about 11 stone, so I was very skinny, you know.
Yeah.
And then me and a girlfriend of mine had got back together, and we decided we should do more stuff like, I was earning more money, so we said, let's go out to some proper restaurants. I honestly used to be at uni and used to think, right, that I thought, if only we could eat stuff like, I didn't like eating. I had about 2 meals a day. Maybe we could just have some coal would be better to eat. It's not about eating for the taste and all that stuff. I really didn't, right?
Yeah.
In the first year of uni, I said I had 2 meals a day. Like, well, in the first year of uni, every day for 6 months, right? Every day, bowl of cornflakes at 9, 1:30. Cheese on toast, 2 slices, glass of orange juice, 6 p.m. microwavable cottage pie for every day.
You've always been retired for as long as I've known you.
Basically, that was it. Just
such a creature of habit and routine.
Retired or retarded?
Retired.
Retired. So I didn't like it. And then when me and my girlfriend got back together, we started going out, and she introduced me my current fiance has introduced me into loads of food and all that kind of stuff, and loads of things that I
broadened your palate.
But when I was 24, I started going out with my girlfriend, the other girlfriend at the time, and she introduced me to olives, mushrooms, and pickled onions, all of which I said I don't like them. She goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Well, I've never tried them, so I assume I don't like them." And it turned out they were amazing.
Yeah.
And also, I hadn't for years since I was younger had mash, bangers and mash, and then that's all I could make. And within about a few years, I went from being 11 stone to 14 stone because I just made bangers and mash, bangers and mash, bangers. Most nights, a friend would come over, and we'd watch Lost or Dexter, and it was always 4 bangers and some mash, and that's what we'd have. Like
gravy.
Of course, gravy. Yeah, mashed with the milk and the butter and all that stuff.
Any vegetables in sight?
I might do some mushrooms on the side or a few pickled onions. You know?
You're funny, man. When you find a thing that works, that's
what I would have. And then I did go in, you know, and then I started to be about 14, maybe 15 stone and have a bit of a beer belly. And the last few years I then went through I did some calorie counting and went down to 13.5. Now I'm back up to like 13 stone 13. But I think if I could
13 stone 13. How dare you, Luke? That's like when you ask a kid how old they are and they're like, I'm 6 3/4.
Fine, I'm 16 stone.
Thank you.
No,
call it what it is.
That's what it says on the scales. What am I supposed to say? Why would I round it up? Although I'm going to be 36 in a month. Month today.
Oh yeah.
As are you.
Oh yeah, there we are.
Because we're on the
month left till we're officially over the hump of the 30s, eh?
I keep saying I'm 36. I even said it to my dad a few days ago, being 36. Said, "You're 35." I said, "Well, you see, now I just accept I'm 36, even though I'm not. I'm 35. I need to really enjoy this last month of being 35." But
why 35? Who gives a fuck? you're in your 36th year. So
yeah, that's true.
you know, and time's just a human construct. So you know,
Do you ever? I never really have felt. I never really used to understand people used to get worried about, you know, being 30 or being 40 or being anything like that. But do you feel that much differently in your head from the age of about 24? Because some things have changed a little bit. In terms of how I feel, I can't believe I don't feel that much different. The idea that I'm 35 and go, when the fuck did this happen? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. You know what? I think
you're gonna die, man.
Well, thanks, dude. I mean, when?
You'll definitely go before me, 100%. You'll be gone.
Where? Okay. Well, like, firstly, that makes me think of something I wanted to talk to you about, which is Nostradamus. But let's not do that yet.
Okay.
Do I feel differently being 35 in my head than I did when I was 24? Yeah, definitely. But it's not. I don't think it's in the way that. Okay, I remember turning 30 and thinking, oh, it doesn't feel any different at all. Like it's not like the clock ticks over and you're like, now I am this person. Like I'm still just the same, basic thing. But I definitely think when I was
same cunt, different year.
Yes,
basically.
but when I was 24, I definitely had more unhelpful voices in my head that I've learned how to.
Now you've only got one unhelpful voice.
Just the one. And you know, I think the main difference is actually, I think it's something society puts on you. I'd be interested for your take on this, because like we have to fill out so many forms these days, and like there's the drop down box, and age is usually within a range or a bracket, and when you start clicking the next one, the more you do that, or the more people ask you, and it kind of reinforces that feeling of like, oh yeah, I'm that now. Like, even if that doesn't mean anything, it still is data that keeps coming in.
We have 1 month left of being in the 18 to 35 age bracket, which is the proper one where they give a shit about you. Do you know what I mean? And then they just don't. When you go, I'd like to tell my opinion, they go, oh, you're probably a racist anyway by that age. You don't really care. You know what I mean? You're as good as dead. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. May as well embrace it.
I definitely feel different. For example, when I was at uni, there's definitely jokes I would make or things I would say that I thought thing is, so let me try and finish at least one of those sentences. I think that that you just wouldn't, murder victims or things like that, or horrible things you would make joke about and think, oh, it's only a joke, who cares? Oh, come on, it's a joke. And you'd really, at uni and watching Brass Sign, you're saying all these things that you think are really funny and stuff. But you realise that things like Brass Eye, or things that make jokes about things like that, are doing it in a very skillful way. And if you can, you can do it very clumsily. So I definitely now have have changed more my views on certain stuff. And I know friends of mine or people that would send a meme round that I go, I don't like the approach of where that's coming from, that joke. Do you know what I mean? I get that this is a joke, but this is not a skillful way that it's being done.
Yeah.
It is, do you know what I mean? And it's not, and you've got to remember that in a sitcom, if there's a character that's saying something that might be sexist or racist or homophobic, the joke can be on the character, but it's in character. But if just a person says it, you're going, is that what you really think? Do you know what I mean? So I definitely have changed in a few of those ways, I would say. But then I'm someone, even with anything that I say, I think, I'd say I'm very liberal, and I just have an open mind. Even with politics, I always have an open mind. I don't want to always say, I don't want to just demonize whatever the Tories do, even though I never would vote Tory. But then I don't want to just give, anyone a free pass through this. I don't want to, I just think, look, everything, the more you get in life, the more I think everything is just complicated. It's just everything is complicated. There is no right answer. Everything is a gray area. That's just what I started to think when I got older. I'm just going to say, for example, right, this is a heavy subject, right?
Okay.
But just this, right? The girl that went to join Iraq when she was like 15. There was 3 girls that went and joined Iraq.
Yeah, Shamima Begum, is that her name?
Yeah, and now they're going to take a British citizenship away from her. They're trying to do all that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to sympathise and say that's really bad, but at the same time, I'm thinking, bring her back over and then put her on trial and then put her in prison for 15 or 20 years or whatever. But are we a country that takes away citizenship? I'm just like, and it's a hell of a thing to do, but people don't just wake up and decide to do that. There's a level going on in there of getting someone to get to that point. I'm just saying, though, people that go, oh, she should have it taken away, or she definitely shouldn't. I'm going, look, just like that. That's a perfect example of stuff that is complicated. And we shouldn't just be like, oh, yeah, she can come back. Why not? But we need to go, right, let's all have a think about this and discuss it. Otherwise, we're not going to learn anything. Maybe we will come to the thing that actually outweighing that kind of thing means people think that everyone's going to try and use that excuse and try and come back and say, oh, was this just saying? It's just a complicated thing, just like everything is now.
Yeah, but that doesn't sell, does it? That's the thing.
No, and people like decisive people.
And and all of the most media is in financial difficulty. So if you post some kind of inflammatory,
the headline, they can't just go, it's complicated.
Yeah, here are the nuanced reasons that you should take into consideration. It's more like, well, we'll just splash some.
Katie Hopkins says, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how people.
Jeremy Clarkson says, well, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll use that. Great pull quote, Jeremy.
Fantastic. Cheers.
I don't know what to think about that Shamima Begum thing. I agree. I think it's really complicated.
I don't either.
I'm
glad I'm not making the decision.
I've got some friends who are like probably a bit more woke than I am. Perish the thought. Who are definitely of the thought that it's like, well, no, she's a British citizen and that is the end of it. She should be here by trial. But they're not willing to consider any other, like, it again, it's the same problem, but on the other side, it's like, I think, like, for the better or the worse of it, also actions do have consequences, and you can't the rightness or the wrongness, let's put that to one side, right? You can't honestly think that you can like go join ISIS, join a terror group, and then just swan your way back to the UK. And I'm not saying that's definitely even if it's like illegal, right? It's like, but that doesn't, like, we've seen countries break the law. Like there is a certain element of like, just because you there's no precedent doesn't mean it won't happen. Especially if you get like a more reactionary public, or you get a more right-wing government, or whatever it is, they're just going to be like, well, we're just going to do it. What are you going to do about it? You know? Yeah,
of course. I mean, look. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, but when you said the thing about woke, I was like, see, even that, and I'm not someone that's, again, it's so complicated because it's the extreme left, extreme right that is the problem.
Yes.
The word extreme. I'm very liberal, but I also want to say that when you said, I know what you meant. I knew exactly what you meant when you said people that are more woke than me.
Yeah.
But the context you kind of meant it is that are outspokenly liberal, and you still can be liberal and go, I still say that, or the idea is woke just also seems to be that they're more decided on their views and say this is right, more like this is right and this is wrong, and we know what it is. And I'm saying that I probably might agree with a lot of people that a lot of what that's saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time also go, yeah, but some things we should talk about, and I want to have discussions about some stuff, otherwise no one's going to learn. And also no one is changing anyone's mind, even on the right or the left. There are certain things that you wouldn't be able to joke about on the I remember someone saying a few years ago, it might have been Russell Howard, who said the one thing you couldn't joke about a few years ago in comedy clubs was Jeremy Corbyn. Any jokes about Jeremy Corbyn, people would hate. And I was like, but people like Private Eye have got it right, because they'll have a go at everyone, even though they're probably more they're more liberal than they are, you know what I mean? But at the same time, they just want to go, if people on the left make mistakes, we're going to fucking say it. We're not going to be like, oh no. That's where I would say I am, in them behind them going, yes, but we still can say that people on the left fuck things up as well.
I think Private Eye is probably probably lines up with my political ideology more than any party, because
Exactly.
it's liberal, but it's also non-censorial.
Yeah.
You're a valid target if you're a valid target, and it's not just going to attack people just because, and it's not going to try and destroy people. Yeah, I mean,
and it's not going to let them off. More importantly, it's
No.
not going to say, no, we're not going to let this person off
just because they're quote unquote on my team or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a shame that the woke label has become a bit tarnished by, because what it started out as and what it stood for is like basically everything I agree in terms of progressional politics and equality.
Yeah.
And it gets hijacked and it gets warped, and you get people on extremes, and any kind of like orthodoxy where you're not allowed to talk about different aspects is unhealthy.
But then I also say I realize as well that at the same time, right, sometimes people might bring things up. Now I'm just saying that there's also people that bring things up that get, I don't agree with the idea of cancel culture, but I also realize people that say that they're, that this idea that people are shutting down conversations, again, I realize that's very few people that are trying to do that. Most people do want to have a conversation, or, I don't want to be someone that just says, oh, everyone I know some people on the right that say, God, everyone on the left that say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I'll go, no. You never could do that because that's racist and that's wrong. But the stuff you're saying they can't, they're not trying to shut them down and just stop things. They're just saying that they're trying to call stuff out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway.
But I think
it's
sorry, go on. Go on. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'll hold that thought. We'll come to it, because I think that you have this interesting thing from people on the right, being, because they like to call people on the left snowflakes, right?
Yeah.
You have this thing of their blind spots for me are like glaring. Like did you see the Mr. Potato Head thing?
Yeah.
Like the idea that could be a huge boiling point of rage, that like how dare they do this, is so bizarre. It's like, this is so inconsequential, guys.
Yeah,
but some people see it as like an attack on their whole being, on everything they stand for. And it's like, you could always put a dress on Mr. Potato Head. There's nothing that's changed.
See, that's the weird thing, that I'm not anyway. Yeah, what was interesting is that that with certain things that are going on, I remember Piers Morgan was on James O'Brien's show. They were interviewing each other. James O'Brien was kind of calling out all the stuff. Say that again.
I said R.I.P.
That Piers Morgan was being called out on a lot of his views, and he said, what things are the left trying to hijack? What political things are the left trying to hijack? Apart from trans rights, give me another. And he couldn't. He went, well, apparently they've removed the egg from the salad in the Google logos. Said, but who gives a shit? That doesn't matter. The fact that you're annoyed by it doesn't mean that, like, it really annoys me. And trans rights is a complicated issue, but obviously people that are trans should be given exactly the same rights as anyone else. And we should stop all the transphobia. This is stuff that people should know. If you don't know that, then you've got no say. But then, but then it is. I understand that people go, it's still a complicated one. It shouldn't be, but again, it's something that I'm even want to make sure I don't misstep and say a wrong word or a wrong term or whatever. But I also understand that there are people that are, Jermaine Greer, who was progressive and everyone loved because she was a feminist and stuff, has said certain things about saying, I'll never consider trans women, but I will still use the pronouns that person would like me to use. And I'm like, we're not going to change her mind, but she's not going to actively have a go at people. You can't say fairer than that in a way, even though I disagree with her on that point, but she's not going to. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you should be able.
But I can see how someone's got to that. I can see how someone's got to that point.
Yeah, I mean,
but even me saying that, I'm worried someone might go, "Oh, you're saying." I was like, "No, I think trans people are. I think people can identify as whatever they like, genuinely. But seriously, it doesn't bother me, and I think they should be able to. And I protest for that and everything.
Yeah.
But it's just all these things are complicated
Yeah.
and need to be thought out. And the
Yeah,
idea that
that's
you can,
the thing. That's what gets me about it is the reaction from some people as if it's not complicated, as if it's like, no, if you feel this way, then you should be able to immediately have gender reassignment surgery and go on hormones. It's like, but we wouldn't treat another thing that way, like my knee surgery. You wouldn't immediately just be like, right, cut him open here and there. It's like,
I
and
know.
not that I'm saying that's what they do, but there is a certain prevailing idea that you are able to choose who you are, independent of anyone else. And I don't think that's what identity is. Like, I think we don't know ourselves as well as we think we do a lot of the time.
No, I know.
Yeah, I mean,
it must be. I mean, but we're also speaking from the thing. I can only talk for myself, and I imagine you as well. I've never had gender identity confusion. You know, and when again, the word confusion, I don't mean it in a negative. I've never questioned my gender identity, but if people have, then
no, but
everyone's got that right to choose. Essentially, I just want everyone to be happy. That's what essentially I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that's what
definitely.
I would say. But I also realise that then, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm just getting myself exhausted thinking about it. But I just also, the point I was going to, there we go. There was a point to this, is that I also realise that anyone now that wants to talk about that kind of stuff, right, I think is foolish if they think that saying anything other than we need trans rights and trans equal, anyone that says anything other, no matter where their point is coming from, is going to upset people.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think that's a healthy part of the discussion yet. Just like certain other things have come out in the media where I remember someone said about Harvey Weinstein, oh, well, some of the girls that went there clearly, got the and you go, one sec, right, even if that is a point of discussion, do we need that now when it's so raw? Is that helpful to the discussion now? No. These people are finally talking, so let's listen to them. Same with people with trans rights. People are finally actually talking and saying this, and they're getting it. So let's listen to them and go from there. But you know what I mean? Like, just anyone in that situation, you go, you don't know. You're not the experts. The experts are people that are living through it,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's right. I think we're talking about some very complicated issues.
I need so long.
But like, I think, well, you can go in a second. Let me just finish. Is like, you know what you just said there is really interesting.
I'm just going to let Mike can hear my cat. My cat is meowing to get in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, Luna. Okay. It's all right.
Oh, there she is. How does Luna identify?
I don't know. I can have a check if you want.
It's actually
but
quite
she's
difficult.
loving it. She's a maniac.
Beautiful.
She's loving it. She'll go and have a nap now for about 8 hours.
It's all the excitement.
And probably what she just loves to lie on the laptop, so she might do that. Anyway, yes. So you were talking about Nostradamus. I had to Google who he was, even though I kind of.
Yeah. We'll get to that. I just feel like I can't just leave what we just said up in the air without sort of saying something.
You love Piers Morgan, I know.
Yeah. So on record, I think Piers Morgan is a stupid bigot, and I'm glad he's no longer presenting that show. And I'm also completely in favor of people being able to choose their own path through life, whether that be gender identity, sexual identity. And I think I definitely went through a period where I didn't know who I was in terms of that stuff, not in terms of gender. I've always been pretty certain on that, but in terms of sexual orientation, I definitely questioned things for a while and did a bit of experimentation, and that's how I found out. But I think, like you said, it's like, well, we need to hear from people who it's their experience. And I think I've seen, in fact, people online who are, they call it allies, right? Who are very, very loud and make a lot of noise in campaigning for certain issues that they maybe are not as read up about as people who are going through the experience. They just decide to, this is my cause and I'm going to champion it. And I think that those voices shouldn't be as loud as the people who are actually going through such a complicated thing. that I'm not going to pretend I have any of the answers for. I think human dignity is the thing probably we need to focus on more than anything, instead of a sense of right and wrong. Let's not boil this down to you're a bigot or
No, yeah.
whatever.
And the only way, it's like the idea of people going through old tweets or something did, 10 years ago and tweeted, and then people getting sacked for it. And I go, if they still hold those views, fine, but you've got to realise that surely, if you're saying that no one can ever change, I mean, then what's the point of an apology, right? So I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian. And I said to someone once who was a vegetarian, I said, I was thinking of eating less meat. So I don't have meat until the evening. I don't think I could give up dairy, but morning and lunch,
bowl of cornflakes, cheese on toast.
Classic. Now
glass
it's
of orange juice.
Porridge, and then something else. I think I had a flan today.
There we go. Wow.
But I could go without eating. I could go vegetarian somewhere. I said, I'm thinking of eating less meat this year. To try and be better than last year. And this person said, well, no, if you haven't done it all your life, don't bother starting now. And I was like, so I'm going to say that less animals are going to die that I'm going to eat. But you're saying, no, this is a badge of honor. So if you ever, do you know what? If you've ever eaten meat, fuck you can't join our team. And I was like, fucking hell, it's just so weird. Don't bother starting now.
Confusing face.
I know, don't bother starting now. You've done it now, right?
You've done it now. All right. Now. You've made your bed.
You made your bed.
Of bacon. Go and lie in it.
Do you know what? I'm going to buy you meat. I'm going to buy you something. I'm going to cook you meat, and you're going to fucking eat it. So weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a bit much. Yeah.
Tell me about Nostradamus.
Okay. Have you gone? No. Go for a piss, and then we'll change gears and get into some more funny, silly stuff.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, there we go. He's out for a piss. That conversation did not go where I thought it would. I just want to, I don't know if I was clear enough, but on record, I think it's absolutely any individual's right to choose to go down a path where they feel like they're becoming their true identity or their true gender. I just think if any kind of big decision like that, any kind of big life decision, whether it be buying a house or having a child, I think it should be well considered. That's it. It should, I don't think it would make sense for you to leap to buy a house and sign your name on the mortgage and then not realize what you've got yourself in for. And it's the same for any kind of big transition like that from one thing to another.
Oh God.
Any of them. But yeah, there we go. He's back. There we go. There he is. So Nostradamus.
I thought you were talking, like when someone they do in comments, they go, Luke is wearing a 1975 like that. I thought Luke is pissing in a toilet.
Yeah, of course. I was talking about you.
Soap and water.
What do you think I was doing, mate? I just told everyone what a horrible xenophobic
penis I have.
Bigot you are.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
So let me remind you who Nostradamus is. Nostradamus.
Remind me. I don't know who they are.
How can you have got this far in life without knowing who Nostradamus is?
I was thinking of Nosferatu. It was the Nos that I was thinking of.
Nosferatu is wicked. Have you ever seen that, the movie?
I'm not sure. I probably have
one.
in media studies when I was younger. Yeah.
It's actually one of those where it's so old that adds to the creepiness of it. It's
yeah. Well, that's why ghost stories are always set 200 years ago. It wouldn't be there was a ghost or something. I won't go, well, it's got to have happened ages ago. Otherwise, it's not interesting.
Yeah. Well, what about Zoom ones and shit?
Zoom ghosts.
I bet there's a Zoom ghost story. I bet you there is. Someone's already made it, and it will be filmed just like the screen. People just clicking in and out of joining.
And it would start off with the Zoom. Doop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
Boop, boop, boop. Doop, boop, boop. And it would end with that as well. It would end with
definitely
that being played and no one answering. Boop,
or
boop,
it could have it would be quite a funny ending, the meeting ended because your 40 minutes was
oh yeah
just as the killer is coming in the door or something.
Meeting ended. Yeah. What? Behind you. I can't. You're on mute. Unmute yourself. Behind you. He's behind you.
And it would
I can't
always,
hear you.
it
Put
would
your camera
always,
on.
it would always start with like whoever's the host. They'd always be on there, and no one else would be there because everyone's late. And then someone would come in, and they'd be like, "Hi, Andy's going to be like half an hour late. Did he tell you?" Like, oh my god, he didn't say. We can't. You know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Set up the dynamic of the group straight away.
Definitely, I think there'd be a Zoom. There'll be a Hollywood Zoom murder mystery, serial killer kind of slasher thing next year.
Right,
let's
look it up.
About, you know what I mean? People all chatting on Zoom like that, and then someone goes around and kills all of them, and then at the end you realise that it's her with the thing. Right, Nosferatu. Bloody hell!
Well, that's not what I meant to find. But New York man murders his father while 20 people on Zoom watch. Jesus Christ. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for like a Zoom murder film or something. I'm sure Hollywood will have already done it, right?
No, no, not yet. I mean, they will be doing it now. The murder of Sharon Tate.
I mean, there's that one I think you told me to watch called Searching, which is like, it's not a horror, but it's like a thriller.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's quite good.
Okay, hold on. I found something. Hold on. Here we go. House of Horror host the Zoom call hit movie that has Hollywood quaking.
Yeah. Oh wow! It's 5 teenage girls. They're all gonna murder then one thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
There we go. See, there we go. It's tiny
British horror film. 57. Again, God, when they've said it's British, a 57-minute Zoom seance.
Yeah.
It sounds shit.
I mean, it's taking Hollywood by storm, so you know.
No, it's not. It's 57 minutes long. I mean, to be fair, if you release a film, what was the film that became the biggest fucking? I can't remember what it was, but I think I went to see Unhinged, a Russell Crowe movie, right?
No, never heard of it. What is it?
It came out last year. It's shit. Basically, Russell Crowe. It's one of these ones. It's happened in so many other different kind of things. I'm trying to think of films that it's relate to, but you know, Russell Crowe is driving and someone accidentally cuts in front of him and doesn't say sorry, so he decides to, you know, go around and kill all their family, you know, and he's unhinged. Just say you're fucking sorry with a shitty accent, and he's fat in it. He looks massive.
I've seen pictures.
It's fucking horrible.
He's
but
got
every
big
punch he throws to someone, you know, and just he's fucking mental. Right. Who the fuck is Nosferatu?
Okay, it's not Nosferatu. You know who Nosferatu
Oh,
is.
yeah.
You idiot.
Cool.
No, so Nosferatu, can't believe you don't know. Nostradamus, fucking hell. Now you've got me doing it. He is the 16th century bloke who predicted a bunch of stuff, famous for. There's even like a saying, what are you, Nostradamus? It's like, because he made all these predictions of things that would happen, and like a lot of his supporters say a lot of it did come true. So for example, right, this is from that Bastion of Truth Wikipedia. Popular claims. Many of Nosferatu's supporters believe his prophecies are genuine. Owing to the
of course they fucking do, otherwise he's fucking supporters.
Owing to the subjective nature of these interpretations.
Many supporters of Tottenham actually support Tottenham. Oh,
well, many supporters of Tottenham do think they're shit, though.
Do you know what's funny, though? Can I say already, based on that, halfway down it says skeptics such as James Randi, who's one of my heroes, suggest his reputation as a prophet is largely manufactured by modern-day supporters who fit his words to events. Oh, yeah, no one's ever done that before. Yeah, it's true.
I know. And there's a thing in here where it's like academics agree that he did not possess any special powers. It's like, yeah, no shit. But many supporters do agree, for example, that he predicted the Great Fire of London, the French Revolution, the rises of Napoleon and Adolf Hitler, both world wars, and the nuclear destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Not only that, the Apollo moon landings in 1969, the death of Diana, Princess of Wales in 1997, and the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center in 2001.
Yeah, well, he didn't do any of them, did he? Let's just say that straight away. I tell you what, this is right proof that he knew about September 11th, right? 5 and 40 degrees the sky shall burn, to the great new city shall the fire draw nigh. With vehemence the flames shall spread and churn, when the Normans their conclusions try. So basically, in the new city, there's going to be a fire, right?
Now,
that's it.
The Normans, that is shockingly, like, that's the kind of thing that the supporters will breeze past. They'll be like, no, that bit doesn't matter. The rest of it.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, the Normans.
Ridiculous.
He wasn't talking about Normans. No.
Oh, one sec. Here's another version. On September 11th, 2 people will hijack planes. Okay, that does fit.
that passes the
Ridiculous. I hate people that say stuff like this.
So he made this book with like 500 predictions. And I wanted to go through with you because I found this article, 11 shockingly accurate predictions from Nostradamus from that reputable source.
Like what you just say already, they're not going to be shocking or accurate.
It's the Independent. Think what you like about the Independent. It's one of the papers of Great Britain.
Not even one of the best, just one of the papers.
Definitely not one of the best.
You can say
Let's be real. It's not
one of the papers.
It's not one of the best, but it is one of them. One of the papers. So let's have a look at them and see what you think. I want to get your take.
Okay.
So here we go. Okay, here he is. By the way, there he is. There's Nostradamus. Handsome chap.
Yeah.
Classic beard. Okay. All right. Do you want to go on? You do it.
French apothecary purported prophet Nostradamus may have his skeptics. They've not even put a gap between have and his.
No.
This is how shit. Anyway, the point is, he's predicted some of these. So the death of Henry II, his prediction was the young lion will overcome the older one on the field of combat in a single battle. He will pierce his eyes through a golden cage. 2 wounds made one, then he dies a cruel death.
Quite specific.
Yeah, although probably one of them just... Anyway.
Let's see what actually happened.
Francis King Henry lined up to joust Gabriel. I'm actually bored. Basically, he hit him someone got hit in the eye. An older man beat a younger man and he got hit in the eye. Next, let's move on to the next one. The Great Fire of London.
That's no good. You're not going to give that one anything else?
No.
What about the eye? He'll pierce his eyes through a golden cage. Nothing? Okay, fine. Let's see how he did on the Great Fire of London. Now, remember, he was writing in 1566 he died. So around then, way before the Great Fire of London, 1666.
Yeah, 100 years before the Great Fire of London.
Yeah. Prediction.
The blood of the just will be lacking in London, burnt up in the fire of 66. The ancient lady will topple from her high place. Many of the same sect will be killed. Now, that's a bit closer. Burnt up in the fire of 66. However, what? I mean,
skeptic,
look,
but nothing to back it up. You skeptical bastard. What happened?
Unless someone saw that poem and just went, oh, maybe I'll do it. There's something, self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, but there could be loads of fire in 66. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it happened to be the same year. There was a fire in London, but there were loads 66. Of fires in London.
Not the
Didn't
Great
say
Fire.
burn up in the Great Fire.
Well, it wasn't called the Great Fire yet. It hadn't happened.
Wow.
I'm not sure what the ancient lady will topple in a high place. Again, I think
no one goes into that, so maybe that's bollocks.
Let's see what else we've got. We've got Napoleon's conquest, Louis Pasteur. How about
let's look at Hitler's terror.
Let's look at Hitler. Okay.
From the depths of the west of Europe, a young child will be born of poor people. He who by his tongue will seduce a great troop, his fame will increase towards the realm of the east. Beasts ferocious with hunger will cross the rivers. The greater part of the battlefield will be against Hister. Now, I thought it was Hitler then. Into a cage of iron will be the great one drawn when the child of Germany observes nothing. I mean...
It's not bad.
But again, it's not a prediction. He's just randomly going, look, do you know what? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get drunk one day and I'm going to write something like, cross the river somewhere. Some guy's going to get born to parents, right? He's going to have his birthday at some point in the calendar year. He's going to go mental. He's going to get in a plane and probably crash it, right? And a lot of people will die. And that'll be it. And that'll be, someone did get on a plane.
Mate, you're going to have to try harder to get up to Nostradamus.
All I'll have to do, and then I'll do something that doesn't come true. Just go, oh, yeah, but the great frog of March will not be happy. something like that.
He's got
But again,
Hister.
no one can prove.
He's got Hister in there. He's got Germany. Nothing for you. Okay.
No, it doesn't
fine.
really do much.
Let's see. What about the atomic bomb? Prediction. The heavenly dart with stretch its course, death in the speaking, a great achievement, the proud nation brought low by the stone in the tree. Rumors of a monstrous human bring purge, then expiation. I mean, that was awful. That was really, 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 really far off. There was nothing in there about Japan or atomic bombs or World War II.
How about JFK? This is going to be great.
Okay.
Let me read this one.
Have a go.
On the grassy knoll will rest a conspiracy to bring out... Oh, no, it's not. It's the ancient task will be completed. From on high, evil will font on he great man. A dead innocent will be accused of the deed. The guilty on will remain in the mist. So...
Oh, so he's a conspiracy theorist too.
So basically what he's saying is a man is going to die.
Yeah.
Someone who's innocent and dies is going to be accused, and the guilty won't go to prison. Now, to be fair, Lee Harvey Oswald did shoot him, so he's not innocent. He's as guilty as everyone else.
Ooh.
Well, he did shoot him, didn't he?
Ooh.
Didn't he? Or have I got that wrong?
Well, I mean, it depends. If you're following the official line, then yeah, he did. You know, if you're happy to just
I hate
buy
conspiracy
that
theories.
I
hate them. There's only two that I would go who maybe, which is that Marilyn Monroe might have been killed deliberately, and JFK there might have been someone else involved in his assassination, the whole grassy knoll thing. But none of the others, like COVID was created in a lab, or September 11th was an inside job, or any of the other crap that goes around there. I just want to go, where's your evidence? Ooh.
Yeah. Well, what if they do have little bits of evidence? It's always kind of Nostradamus.
They've always got to have some evidence, otherwise it really is you. But the evidence will be like my brother, right?
All right, let's see how he did on September 11th. Let's see if he's got it.
We've done this one. The sky will burn at 45 degrees. Fire approaches I'll be honest, right? I'm sure those planes, when they exploded, it was hotter than 45 degrees. So let's get rid of that one first. Yeah?
Wait.
Fire approaches great. You see it when he didn't approach it, it went off. It wasn't like it was already on fire flowing into it.
No, but
by fire, he will destroy their city. Yeah? I mean, I'll be honest. It was a very small part of the city that was destroyed, but I will agree it was destroyed and it was bad. A cold and cruel heart, blood will pour. Yeah. Mercy's done. I mean, basically, something bad's going to happen in the sky.
Scholars interpret 45 degrees as either a reference to New York City's proximity to the 45th latitude, or that the burning buildings would fall, creating a 45-degree angle to the ground. Now, when it says scholars, imagine being a Nostradamus scholar and believing this bullshit.
But the idea that goes, scholars interpret it's like, what's really funny is when people that are mediums, say, oh, I'm getting is it your grandparent? I'm getting a J or a K or a P. When you go, just give me his fucking phone number and email address. Do you know what I mean? It's always
right. I'll take his national insurance number, please. That's how I'll know you're. Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah, but
I think he died of something related to the chest.
But thinking of that, right? You've done a few magic shows, and you're obviously a massive fan of magic and a skilled magician. And I've seen you do some tricks that look like what they call mentalism, right? Like mind reading.
They look like that they are, but they're not though. But I make that very obvious.
But you make it very, and it's the same as like if you watch Darren Brown or something. He's very clear. He's like, this is going to have the appearance of being like when he did the faith healing. But I promise you, I am just using techniques. It's not.
And it's not, and they're not trying to con people into say it's entertainment rather than I'm gonna get you to pretend that this. But what's weird is that anyone else that does that pretends gets so much better results than people that don't. The people that don't pretend. The people that do pretend and say they're doing it never get any details. They always get very, very wrong. Whereas the people that...
Unless they're doing the thing where... Who was the person where they were feeding the information?
Peter Popov, when they gave it into his ear. Yeah, that's
And
funny.
then he was like, that is when it's scarily accurate. And you're like, when it's too accurate, you, of course, just don't believe it. So you're like, this is...
Yeah.
it's why
So basically, he was doing a séance. He was like a what's it called? Like a what's it? One of those? No, well, he's not so much a medium, but he was, someone that stands at the front of a church and like a preacher, kind of like,
right.
And oh Lord, unto thee I will see this, and that Lord is going to cure your cancer. Where you got cancer, Mary? Oh my God, he's going to cure you. I'm cured. And then he would do stuff like go, God's going to come at you, and it's going to be amazing. Like God's going to do something, but he'll do stuff like, and they will be knocked to the ground clearly by God's force. But he's already got them like crouching down.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, standing in it's like me trying to do yoga, standing in an impossible position you can remain up, and then they fall and he goes, oh, that was God.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that his wife was on he had an earpiece, and his wife was like, okay, I'm going for the tickets now, honey. And she lives at 44 Drive, and I've just Googled her. Oh, her husband's, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So feeding all of it. Yeah, they would fill out a big card when they came in, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But and obviously, like, I think the problem, like you say, with those people is that they're not only they're like sort of out for profit, but it's profit off the back of people's misery a lot of the time. There'll be something like a dead relative or a physical ailment, and a lot of the time it's people who don't necessarily have a lot of money, and they're being squeezed for a little bit more of that money because of this hope that they're being taken advantage of. I think that's why, like, someone like James Randi, it's like they're a hero because they're fighting for people who are being taken advantage of in that horrible way, right? But you've seen Darren Brown, Faith Healer, yeah? So I would recommend everyone to watch this show. It's just remarkable. Darren Brown, if you don't know, illusionist, magician, and he basically learns from these preachers some of what they do, and then he incorporates it into a show where he uses some of their techniques and some of his own sort of magic techniques to put on a faith healing show, but explicitly saying he's not doing it for money, and that it's not really faith healing what he's doing. He's using magical techniques. Fast forward to the show actually happening, the results are the same. You have people who do have these problems. I can't remember any specific examples, so it's going to sound, can you remember any specific examples from the show?
There was one, I remember one where he got someone who had like a very bad back, and he got them to do, what was that show called? It wasn't called Faith Healing. I went to see that one, and I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't Infamous, it was the one after that. It might be Miracle. It might be Miracle.
It might be Miracle. Anyway, say what the thing happened with the back.
So we got people up, and someone said, I've got a bad back and I've not been able to. So he managed to get her. I've not been able to move in a certain way. So he manages to heal her, then she can move without any pain. And he can do all this kind of stuff without pain. Although he basically said a lot of the time what's happening is just you getting the thought that you're able to do it. And also the adrenaline means that you're going to, just like some footballers that, just like anything, if you've got a bad knee, you've got a bad knee, right? Obviously.
Right.
But if you were in danger and you had to run from a fire, you'd probably ought to run faster than you could, because adrenaline is pumping so much that your body's not going to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was saying the idea that pain is a subjective thing. You can cut your hand and not notice, and then when you see it, you feel the pain. Do you know what I mean? Because you haven't realised.
Yeah.
So it's really, really interesting.
That's what it is.
That thing he said. The other thing is when next time you try and see if there's a tap dripping, and you're in the bath and it's dripping on your foot or whatever, unless you think about it, you won't realise it's hot or cold, and then suddenly you realise it's hot, and you go, oh fuck, and you take your thing away. Like, you don't feel it until you know, essentially.
I remember reading this thing. It's kind of tangential to what we're talking about, but I think it's really interesting, of people who have like muscular or bone issues, like be it like bad back all the way to sort of like multiple sclerosis or palsy or things like that, where their body is in constant pain and twisted and stuff like that. And it's they did this research where they found, like, if they were in a deep sleep, their body would completely relax and be able to be manipulated and put into things like positions, not like weird positions, just like straight or stretch positions that they'd never be able to do when they were awake, and their brain was like active, being like,
no, I can't do this.
But asleep and unconscious, they were able to do it. I think maybe some of this is tapping into that.
the mind does get you into a certain point where you think, no, I can't, no, I can't. Just, I mean, do you know what? It sounds weird. It's the equivalent of, well, I went to do Go Ape a few years ago for my cousin's 30th, which I never would have done.
So what is that? That's like an adventure.
It's like, you know, a tree climbing adventure, all that stuff. You've got to climb up, go through nets and stuff, and you're always linked with at least one rope. Do you know what I mean? So even if they give you 2 ropes, so you constantly, if you hook yourself to one thing, and you always hook by 2 ropes. If ever you've got to unhook yourself, you're always hooked on with one. So when you're always hooked onto something.
Right.
But one of them, there is one thing where you have to basically, of all the things you're climbing up, going across and thing, there's one thing where, almost like in Gladiators, there is a rope where you have to get on, and you're going to you've got on a higher platform, and you're going to jump, and like 20 feet away, you're going to kind of go through the air, and there's a massive net at the bottom, but you're going to land onto a net, which you can grab on and then climb up. But in order, that's the only thing where you literally have to jump. Your knees have to let you jump off, because at one point you're going to slightly go down in it because you're jumping off a higher platform, even though you're on a rope, and even though you're then connecting yourself and everything. And it took me about 5 or 6 goes to actually jump off. My feet would not let me do it. My legs, I just kept going, I cannot do it. Whereas and I remember my cousin's girlfriend was there. Now it's his wife, and I'd done it, and she was doing it every time I tried to do it. And in the end, she burst into tears. She was like, I just don't think I can do it. And in the end, someone said, look, just take one leg off. They did one and said, I'm now going to hold on, I'm going to very gently just push you so you don't have to do it. Do you know what I mean? And then she did, but it's fucking terrifying, man. But that's what it is with these things. Your mind is saying, don't do that. It's like whenever you're at the top of a thing, you worry, I don't want to get too close, I might actually jump.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You think, what if I do this? Your mind's like, don't do that.
Yeah, that's it. They call it, I mean, this show's called Bliss of the Abyss. They call it the call of the void. That feeling of like when you're, or like on the tube, like you see one coming, you're like, if I just walked in front of that, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
It like, for some reason, we all like entertain those thoughts. And
I think you've got to, otherwise you never would, you know what I mean? You'd just be, blissfully unaware that you need to know what is going to kill you so you can stop doing it. Even if your brain goes, oi, oi. It's almost like you're going, oh, that could kill me. And your brain goes, do you want to go for it? No. I'm just double checking it. So it's just like when you go in and go, well, that knife could kill me. That could kill me. But that could kill me.
Yeah. Yeah. So that in a way, in the Go Ape, there's a similar circuitry going
that's
on.
Making you realise you could die.
Yeah, even though it's safe and you won't, and blah 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 blah, all of that.
Right, I've got to go and start preparing the dinner in a little bit.
Okay. Well, how long have you got? We can finish whenever you want, mate.
5 minutes, probably.
Should we do 5 more minutes? Yeah.
Yeah, we can do 5. Let's just, do you know what? For the fans.
For the fans, give them an extra 5. What should we try and fit into the 5? What have we not talked about that we'd like to?
Well, I'm interested to know how much you, in terms of when lockdown is over, what is, because I've been writing a list of stuff I want to do, like the classic, which is, obviously you want to go to a pub, and all these things like, watching football in a pub and stuff like that. And I was thinking, what stuff do I, and doing a quiz, what do I really want to do though? And one of them I was like, I just want to, go to the cinema, but go to the cinema with friends, with my fiance and friends, and then have a beer afterwards. Someone like in one of the nice cinemas, like the Everyman and Muswell Hill, or something like that. So that's something I really like. Just cannot wait to do when lockdown is over. I want to do that, and go away for the weekend. What's anything that you really are like that might not be top of everyone's list, but what would you want to do?
I think obviously theatre, right? That kind of goes without saying. I fucking want to be in, not even about being on stage, or obviously that too, but just that feeling that, especially almost the feeling before the show, where everyone's milling about, people are excited, they're taking their seat, there's the chatter, maybe you there's someone in it you really want to see, or it's a production that you've heard a lot about, whatever it is.
But even if you're in a show, those, I would love to at one point, and this is the annoying thing, this is what the podcast should have been about. I'd love to. So let's scrap this, what we all did.
Okay, we'll just
I'd
use the
love to
last 5.
Have one chat with you about top moments where things went wrong on stage and how you got out of them.
Oh, yeah.
And do you know what I mean? And what you think, if you can describe that hour when you arrive at the theatre, when you've been in the show, and because I'm not a professional actor or semi-professional or anything like that, but I'm obsessed with theatre, and I've been doing shows the same amount of time as you have, 30 years, and doing plays, and I've been in a lot of crap. I know that, in a lot of bad theatre. We all have. But I'm part of a theatre group now in New South Wales called Incognito Theatre that's got its own theatre. So we do 6 or 7 week rehearsals on theatre. We build a set that, if the set has to be, literally, we once had a working toilet and a working sink because it had to be set in a girls' or boys' toilet. Do you know what I mean? So
I didn't see that one. That's pretty decent.
I wasn't in it, actually. That was the first one I went to see. But you've seen me in...
At least
I
a
don't know
couple.
if you saw me in Raving. I can't remember.
I don't think so. The last one I saw you in was Gary Lineker.
Gary Lineker, but we had a proper hotel. So we got the hotel room, so we had all this stuff. So, but brilliant. Just that 30 minutes at least, when you know you're in your costume, and you're waiting to go on, and everyone's having that little mini chat. You've had something to eat because it's in the evenings like that. But just that bit when you get to like 15 minutes before, and that's when I think, but what if I haven't checked my props? What if I do need to go for a piss? What if I haven't done that? What if this person? And I will take risks like 5 minutes before, when I'm supposed to be downstairs waiting, you're supposed to go on and think, right, now I'll quickly go and double check something. Or now I'll go and turn my phone off. Almost so when they call you, you're like, so you've got to run to get ready. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do a similar thing. I think that's interesting. And I mean, in terms of the thing that I really want after, let's say June 21st happens, all social limits.
June 21st will happen, whether we come out of lockdown.
Yeah, let's say we all make it there anyway.
Shit, fucking hell, that's dark.
Odds on you. What a year it's been,
I'm sorry, but if either of us were to die, it would be more in character for you to die. Wouldn't it? Be honest. Yeah.
I mean, if we were writing a script and we're both characters, who's gonna kick the bucket?
You would die. You would die because your death might affect me, whereas you might go.
I think you're gonna be framed for something you didn't do. You're gonna be like enemy of Will Smith. Will Smith in Enemy of the State. That's who you're gonna be.
The problem is, if I was in any films where someone like Enemy of the State, where they've got to go, what do I do? They've got to make decisions. I've got to get here and I've got to do that. I would just go, look, I'm just going to wait for them to come and take me. Like I wouldn't be like, run here. I just go, I give up.
Oh yeah, sorry. To be clear, I don't think you're going to beat the man and escape or any of that.
Oh, I'm just going to be fucked. Yeah.
That's pretty much what I was saying. Yeah. But yeah, spontaneity is the thing that I miss, that I want to have back. That's what I want.
Oh.
Yeah. So let's try and end it on a joke, because that was depressing.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing.
Have you really got nothing?
Okay. I've got a couple for you.
There we go. That wasn't
now, would you rather find out that your wife was having an affair, a long affair, or would you rather have the affair? So you've either got innocence and heartbreak, or guilt and sex.
I've already been on the other side of being cheated on, so might give it a whirl myself. See what
give
it's
it
like.
A whirl. Okay. Fantastic. Now the other one is so this is not a good one. Okay. Now you're not going to like this, but everyone goes for the same answer. Oh. So would you rather sleep with? You have to commit incest. That's it.
Fucking
older brother, right, or mother. Now everyone would go for their brother, innit? You've got to go for your brother, because if you sleep with your sibling, you can kind of more get over it, but you can't. Isn't it true?
Can you get over it?
Would you prefer to sleep with your mother or your brother? You'd have to sleep with Tom. Or
am I allowed to kill myself instead? I like the way you chose Tom and not Jem, though, by the way.
No, you can do. Yeah, but
but he's my older brother. I'll fucking get one over on him finally.
I thought you could say I'd finally get one in it. Come on. Okay. Right.
Just before we
I'm
go,
just saying, everyone I've
So go on.
asked, when you
Yeah.
say incest with a parent and sibling, I go, it's the sibling, and they go, yeah, it would have to. I don't know why, but I know it would have to be, because it would be easier to get over. You could look your sibling in the eye afterwards and go, look, we had to do it. But with your parent, you wouldn't be able to be like, do you know what I mean?
You know bonobos, yeah? They
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, they're like a close cousin, great ape. They are like chimps, except they're very much don't use war to settle their differences. They use sex, and they have all kinds of sex. They have oral sex. They have things where they just rub up against each other. They have all kinds of exactly, frottage. Thank you very much, Perv. And they have all kinds of different pairings, but they never have mother and son. It never happens, right?
Yeah.
I think it's because, for the same reason, like for your filthy question, it's like,
I'm just saying,
don't
I was
cross
thinking
that bridge.
of lots of would you rathers, and I thought it was an interesting one, that one, just like I was noticing as well that, when you need a wee,
Ooh.
I'd say there's 3 levels of needing a wee. If you need a wee, just like I needed a wee with you when I was here for a good hour, that was level number 2, because it was definitely there and I definitely knew it was there, but it wasn't desperate. My bladder was to the brim, but it wasn't bursting, it wasn't expanded. Whereas one even more would be slightly expanded. Well, I just have to go, like at the end of a pub, you're like, fucking hell, I've got to go for piss somewhere.
Yeah, it's almost.
Or there's the number 1 where it's there. Oh, and if you have the opportunity, of course you're going to go, but you could wait like 4 hours and that would be fine.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'm often
So I just find it, next time you need a wee, do it for me. Think about whether it's 1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Just saying. Think about
for
it.
me, wee is 1, poo is 2, and 3 is both at the same time. But I'll try and change up the system for you.
I don't think you can have a poo without ever having a wee at the same time. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, you can. But
next time you sit down for poo, check whether any wee comes out.
I like the way that we're ending on some highbrow content here, having discussed all kinds of other things. I think in general, if you're going for, like, let's say the big one, right? The big one of the day.
You mean the big 2?
Yeah, the big 2 of the day. But sometimes you'll always wee with that one, definitely. But sometimes you might need like a little top up or top down or bottom out, whatever the phrase is. You sort of have to finish the job. And that one you don't necessarily.
It's so weird that can happen. You can have a normal thing we do, but then you go, so that's really weird, right? I think there's a bit more. I just think there's a little bit more.
It'll be like 15 minutes later, and you'll be like, oh, but I did such a great cleanup job, and now we have to go through all this again.
I've got to go again. Frank Skinner said, this is horrible, by the way. Right. Frank Skinner, we saw him in Edinburgh. Do you remember? We went to see him.
We did, and Sadiq Khan made everyone late.
Yeah.
Because he arrived 10 minutes later.
And Frank Skinner was talking about wiping his arse, which is that what he does is wipe it and keeps looking and going, oh, this shit. Still shit. And he does like 4 or 5, and eventually he just wipes a lot lighter, so there's none on it. And go, right, there we go. Right, that's horrible. I'm going to go
on that bombshell. Yeah. Okay, go and make dinner. What's on the menu tonight, mate?
I say go and make dinner. I've just got to do a bit of prep. I don't know whether we're going to have bolognese, which I'm going to make, or chicken Kiev. Probably chicken Kiev.
With bangers and mash, or
might as well. I didn't buy fucking bangers in I went to Aldi and did the shop. I forgot to buy. That's my life.
Oh, ending with a squib. All right. There we go. We did it, mate. We did fucking hell. We did an hour and 44. How about that?
Now, this is the longest we've spoken, so I'm hoping we don't have to talk again for a good 3 months.
Yeah, right. Once lockdown has eased, I'll come round to your new gaff, see your cat.
Who knows? Maybe
food.
We might even. No, that's impossible. Whether we can watch the Carabao Cup final
April
in a pub garden, I don't know. They might have screens in pub gardens. 2 days after our birthday. Will we get a good present? No. It's almost 100. I've never been so sure of a result. There's no way we're going to win that.
No. I would put money on it. You know what though? Put a tenner on it. Let's do it.
Yeah, no, put a tenner on us not winning.
No.
So
Because
then if
then
we
you
don't
win
win,
either way.
you
Shut
make some
up.
money. I did that. That's exactly what I did. All right, I'll see you later, man.
See you later, dude.
Have a
Take
good
care,
one.
bro. Yeah. Yep. Love you, man. Bye.
Love you too.
Second pause. And there he is. That's Mr. Luke Murray. Find him on wherever you find people if you're that kind of person and you want to follow him. Like I said, he does amazing magic shows every now and again. So look out for him. He also hosts pub quizzes, which are very good. And I'll set links for all of these because, bit of an interesting one there. Like I think as conversations go, this one was really, really wide ranging and covered a hell of a lot of topics. And sort of forced to think off the cuff about loads of them. So some of them might be a bit formed in the heat of the moment, and I think I'm going to listen back and see what I said about some of them. I think that the general message was pretty clear, though. Luke has always been like me. We've always been very much let people live their life kind of thing. We've been, we've always just been interested in being kind and making people laugh. I think it's probably because I know Luke was. We were both bullied quite a lot at school. Went through some tough times. I think if you've ever been through that, I think you can become a bully, and we didn't. We're not bullies, and he's a really good bloke, and I love him, and considering marriage, but I think he's a bit taken at the minute. If you've made it through to all the way at the end of this podcast, well done, because I barely did. But we've got some great guests coming up, and I'm really looking forward, and I'm glad to be back and feeling a bit healthier. Got the knee actually kind of working. I'm able to exercise and put more effort into this show. So I hope you're still enjoying it. Anything you want to say to me, get in touch, all the socials, or if you know me, you can fucking text me, can't you? Anything. But thanks for listening. Thank you for listening. I'll have another episode up for you very shortly, and see you later for more Bliss. Bye. Yeah.